Our final speaker is Sandra Christie, and she's going to do a section called Leadership, The Journey Begins. Thank you, Sandra.
Hello. Hopefully she is. What I just wanted us really to focus on was the idea of us all being on a journey. And for me, that's about the organisation's journey we're taking with this leadership model. It's also about the patient's journey, which I think we heard really well from Norma, and about the leadership journey, which applies to each and every one of us. And I think this is a journey that's very personal. And I want to just share with you for a few minutes some of the personal reflections of my own leadership journey. And it is a very personal journey. I think we all make leadership. This is a picture of me on part of my leadership journey. I've been lucky enough to undertake some leadership experiences abroad, and as part of that I've travelled as holidays after that. And this is Lake Louise in the Rockies. I don't know if anybody's been there. Absolutely glorious place. But for me, developing my leadership skills, those things have all been intertwined. What we get out of that for the organisation, what I got out of it, how it benefits patients, they're all part of that journey. So my leadership journey began quite some time ago, 1977. I worked for Littlewoods Pools, and I was thinking about this journey this morning as I was listening to all the different sessions, and especially the clip that we started with when that man talked about his lollipop moments. And it really struck me that the whole of my leadership journey has been a series of those lollipop moments. When I worked for Littlewoods Pools, they had a sick bay as part for people who worked there during the day. And if you were feeling unwell, you went along to sick bay, and there were two nurses there. There was a bed you could have a lie down if you didn't feel well, or they sent you home. Very hard to imagine now, but that's what happened. But I was actually really inspired by those nurses. I was working in an office job. I worked in what was called personnel then, not human resources. And they talked to me about their career as nurses, what they'd done. And that really inspired me. And one day I was walking through the shopping centre in Liscard, and the NHS had a stand, and they were looking for people to sign up to be nurses. So I did. I then had to go home to my husband and say, do you know what? I've just started on a whole new career. It'll be a quarter of the less money and a lot more hours, but we'll be fine. So I started nursing in 1982, and again, I had some really great lollipop moments as part of that. I've met some really good role models who've inspired me to develop and went on to do different jobs. But particularly in 1993, I had a manager then called Leah Newsom, and they advertised some jobs that were part-time clinician, part-time being a manager. And Leah came into the office and she put the application form in front of me and she said, apply for that, and if you don't, I'll fill it in and do it for you. And I was really privileged recently, and it struck me when he was talking about his lollipop moments and thanking people. I was able to thank Leah recently at a board presentation when she retired after 52 years service in the NHS. And to me that was fantastic, because she inspired me to move into management and into leadership. So I then did different things in management roles. I'm obviously not got the touch for this. No, see? Definitely not. But then I began to move into more sort of national, more strategic type roles. Particularly things that I've done, which have been really interesting, is working for the NMC, the Nursing and Midwifery Council, who regulates nursing. And in that role, really learned about the importance of integrity, the importance of trustworthiness, and the importance of professionalism in nursing. I've worked for the CQC as an inspector, and from them really learned about what it means to be well led as an organisation. And the tone of that is set from the board at the top, but actually it involves every person in the organisation being part of that leadership, so it really fits with our leadership model. One of the things I'm really proud of is being a Florence Nightingale Leadership Scholar, which I did in 2010. Florence Nightingale is it's a charity that exists to support nurses in their leadership development and therapists. And I applied for a scholarship. They give you £15,000 to spend on your personal development. You have to put an application form in. You go down to London. There's an interview process. I did all of that. I took the day off to go to London. It was in the morning. And in the afternoon, I thought, I'm not going back till later. So I went to the V&A Museum. I had afternoon tea. And on the train back, I thought, that was a lovely day out. And I'll probably never hear from them again. And when the chairperson rang me up and said, we'd like to give you this scholarship, my response to this wonderful offer was, are you sure you've rang the right person? Because actually, what I learnt through Florence Nightingale was I had very little confidence in my own ability to be a leader. And I think that's something you see with a lot of people. And this, I think, programme really supports us all to develop and say, do you know, every one of us can do that. I think Karen touched on this in her presentation when she talked about management and leadership. They're not the same thing. And for me, I think in all of the presentations this morning, we've heard of some of the key things that leadership is about. For me, one of the really important things is leaders inspire trust in their staff. And I think from Norma, we heard about how her manager has really done that. And that trust has helped Norma really deliver. And I think that's the key for our organisation being successful. When people feel trusted, they step up and they deliver what's needed. I think leaders also clarify purpose, and I think we heard about that in the clip that we saw on the nuclear submarine. We're not a nuclear submarine, but it's about each and every one of us understanding what are we here to deliver and all working together to deliver the same thing. A couple of years ago, I was very lucky and heard Catherine Granger speak, and she was one of the gold medalists, the school pairs that won the rowing in 2012. And what she talked about was the importance of those two people really focusing on doing exactly the same thing, going in the same direction at exactly the same time. And that's what we need to be doing as an organisation. I think to get leadership right as well, you need to be able to help people align systems. And to me, that means there shouldn't be any conflict between what we say we should be doing and actually how we do it. So it's about seeing leaders who are people who actually walk that talk we talk about, that it's not a strategy that sits somewhere, but it's actually something we all deliver together. But most importantly, I think leadership is about unleashing talent. And that's what we've heard about this morning. Our leadership model is designed to do that. I think we've had some great leadership stories of people whose talent has been unleashed. And I think this is an organisation that does that, supports people to develop and be the very best leaders, no matter what their job is and no matter what their position is in the organisation. It is me, isn't it? I definitely haven't. See? Right. And I just wanted to finish with this quote from the NHS Leadership Academy. And several people have talked about how the NHS Leadership Academy has supported them to develop as leaders. But I think this is so true. It's felt at every level in the organisation and by every patient. And when I filled in my slip before for the Wordle, I put down my inspiring person as being Martine Wright. Martine was one of the people who was she was involved in the London bombings. She was actually sitting on the tube train next to the bomber when he left the bomb there. And she survived, but she lost both her legs in that. And she is so inspirational. She is now the leader of the wheelchair basketball team for the Paralympic team for Great Britain, and will be going to the next Olympic Games with that team. And when you hear her talk, she talks about the inspiration she got from leaders in the NHS that actually picked her back up and put her back on the track of her life. But she doesn't talk about the people like the chief exec of the hospital. She actually says, I never saw that person. She talks about the people that she interacted with every day while she was in that hospital for months, and says it was the little things that they did that delivered that leadership and helped her so much. And I think that's what we're all about. We're here to do our very best together and to lead this organisation to make a real impact for patients.